In today's video, I'll be revealing the top ways that thieves steal from you on the plane and how you can protect yourself the next time you fly. Shocking cases of in-flight theft are on the rise, like the recent case on a Scoot flight where a passenger was accused of stealing over $23,000 in cash from multiple travelers' bags. And what's quite shocking is just how organized these thieves can be. They target specific flights, specific phases of the flight, and then they use tactics that most travelers will never even notice, at least not before it's too late. First, we'll cover which specific flights thieves tend to target the most, as well as the high-risk phases of each flight, and then I'll dive into the exact tricks that thieves use and how you can protect yourself the next time you fly. Overnight flights create the perfect environment for theft. The cabin is dark, most passengers are trying to sleep, and many have also taken sleep aids that are going to make them less alert to their surroundings. A recent case on an overnight flight revealed a passenger that would specifically book red-eye flights so that he could target sleeping passengers. He was caught after stealing close to $1,000 in cash from multiple passengers' bags while they were sleeping. Ollie would definitely be at risk of having all of his treats stolen. Those 6 a.m. departures are also a prime time for theft. Passengers are groggy, often rushing after waking up early, and are simply not as alert as they would be later in the day or if they had gotten proper sleep. Let us know down in the comments if this sounds like you on an overnight or an early morning flight. I'm personally a total zombie. Early morning is also when airport staff are changing shifts, which means that there might be fewer eyes watching the cabin during boarding. International flights are at the highest risk of theft, with reports showing that they account for nearly 70% of all in-flight theft incidents. International flights are attractive to thieves since passengers often carry more cash and more valuables when they're taking an international trip than a domestic trip. The longer flight times also mean more opportunities for theft while people are sleeping, and travelers are also more likely to take sleep aids, as we mentioned earlier. In addition, the confusion of different languages and customs when traveling to or from a foreign country creates an extra element of distraction. But whether it's a domestic or an international flight, there are 3 phases of every flight that are going to be the highest risk for theft. According to security experts, more than 40% of in-flight thefts occur during the initial boarding period. The boarding process is chaotic, with people standing in the aisles, searching for their seats, and trying to find overhead bin space, and just generally not paying attention to their surroundings. This creates the perfect opportunity for thieves to access bags in the overhead bins or to quickly grab items from seatback pockets of already seated passengers. While everyone is focused on getting settled, a thief could easily pretend to be looking for their seat while actually scoping out potential victims. The second high-risk flight phase is meal service. One flight attendant with a major U.S. airline told the Executive Traveler magazine that thieves often wait until the meal service to make their move, knowing that this is when passengers are going to be distracted and have likely set aside their valuables. Deplaning is another time to be on alert for theft. After the plane has landed, passengers are standing up, gathering their belongings, and focused on making a connection to a new flight or simply just getting off the plane as quickly as possible. With everyone standing and moving around, there's a lot of action, and suspicious behavior is much more difficult to spot. What's particularly dangerous about this time of the flight when everyone is getting off the plane is that if something is stolen just before you deplane, you might not notice until you, and also the thief, are already off of the plane. At which point, it would be extremely difficult to track down the thief. Now that you know when and where thieves are most likely to strike during a flight, let's talk about how they do it, starting with one of the easiest and the most common targets, your underseat bag. Airlines encourage passengers to put their personal item bag under the seat in front of them, and it is an FAA requirement during takeoff and landing that the bag is stowed. What they don't tell you is that thieves have actually developed clever ways to access it without you even realizing. Someone sitting directly in front of you can quietly reach down between their legs and slip a hand under their own seat, which is exactly where your bag is sitting if you are behind them. They can unzip side pockets and grab small valuables like cash or even your passport quickly without even moving your bag enough for you to notice. Someone that is seated beside you or someone that is even just walking through the aisle could easily target your bag while you're sleeping, distracted, or using the washroom. An easy way to reduce your risk of theft from your personal item bag would be to use small locks on your zippers, or even just zipper clips. Thieves are often going to go for the quickest and the easiest targets, which would be an open bag with unsecured zippers. A basic clip, even without a lock, makes it almost impossible for someone to quietly unzip your bag without you noticing. It adds just enough friction to slow them down, and thieves don't like to waste time. Another excellent strategy to reduce your risk of theft would be to pull your bag behind your legs after takeoff. Thieves can't reach it, and you'll have more legroom. The type of bag that you use can make a big difference when it comes to preventing theft, which is why I've partnered with Nomad Lane on this video to show you why their bento bag is my go-to personal item bag for every flight. Unlike typical backpacks, purses, or duffel bags, the bento bag has a secure clamshell design with interior compartments that are much harder for thieves to access. The main compartments only open when the bag is fully unzipped, which is something that no thief could discreetly do without you noticing. I'm also always amazed at just how much this bag can hold. I even use it as my only piece of luggage for weekend trips. It's spacious enough for everything that you'll need while still fitting within most major airline personal item size limits. It slides easily under the seat in front of me for takeoff and landing, and then can be pulled behind your legs for extra security and extra legroom during the flight. You can check the bento bag out at nomadlane.com and then be sure to use the code MEGAN10 at checkout to get an additional 10% off your order. The second major theft risk is actually above your head, where your carry-on bag is stowed in the overhead bin. Thieves can pretend that they're doing things like grabbing something from their own bag and then quickly slip valuables out of yours, especially from side compartments or open pockets, which are most commonly found on soft-sided rolling suitcases or soft-sided carry-on bags. This typically happens during boarding when passengers are distracted, or just after landing when people are eager to get off the plane and they're distracted with grabbing their bags and their belongings. You can lower your risk of theft in the overhead bin by storing your bag across the aisle where you can easily keep an eye on it, as opposed to directly above your head where it's going to be out of sight. Use zipper clips or small locks to secure compartments similar to what we discussed with your personal item bag, and never put valuables or important documents in exterior pockets of your carry-on bag or suitcase. Next up, we have the seat back pocket in front of you, which might seem like a convenient spot to store items during your flight, but it's actually one of the riskiest places that you could keep your belongings. These pockets are completely exposed and visible to anyone that is walking down the aisle or seated in the seats around you. A thief can easily reach in and grab something while pretending to steady themselves during turbulence or while walking to the washroom. What makes these seatback pockets particularly risky is that we tend to use them without thinking. We'll do things like slip our phone, passport, or wallet into them as we head to the washroom without putting too much thought into it. And if something does go missing, you may not even realize that it's been stolen unless you're specifically checking the seatback pocket on a regular basis. You also don't want to forget something valuable in the seatback pocket, since you usually are not allowed to reboard the plane and retrieve it after you have deplaned. Flight attendants only do a quick check between flights, so it's more likely that the cleaning crew or the next passenger that sits in your seat is going to find the item as opposed to an airline staff member, which means that your chances of getting it back are pretty slim. You can prevent having things stolen out of the seatback pocket by choosing to never use this pocket for anything that is valuable. For any items of value that you might need frequent access to during the flight, such as your cell phone, consider using a crossbody bag, a large pocket of your jacket, or a fanny pack that's going to stay close and attached to you for the entire flight. Scotty Vest has some great option for anti-theft clothing with hidden pockets that are specifically designed for the gear that you are traveling with. It includes pockets for things like your phone, iPad, passport, and even an RFID pocket for something like your credit cards. But it's good to know that it's not just your physical belongings that are going to be at risk on a flight. There's another type of theft happening on planes that you might not be aware of, known as visual theft. Unfortunately, theft can go well beyond just physical items, considering that your personal and your financial information can be quite valuable. When you're working on your laptop, entering passwords, or checking sensitive information, the person next to you can often easily see everything that you're doing. This type of visual hacking is incredibly common on planes where people are packed closely together. especially before takeoff or right after landing when people are logging into accounts now that they have access to the internet. Remember to be just as careful to not expose any private information when doing things like filling out a physical form and putting in numbers like your date of birth or your passport number. You can lower your risk of having your personal information compromised by being aware and conscious of what's visible on your screen when you're entering passwords or handling travel documents. Consider using biometric logins like Face ID or fingerprints to avoid typing passwords in public. And you could also consider using a password manager that's going to autofill your credentials, so again, you're not typing them out. For extra protection, add a privacy screen filter to your laptop or tablet. These simple covers are super affordable and they're going to block side views, keeping your information safe from anyone that's trying to sneak a peek. I personally have one on my laptop and my phone, and I have for years. There's one more surprising aspect of in-flight theft that most travelers never consider, which is that you might be the thief without even realizing it. Airlines report that passengers steal thousands of dollars worth of airline property, often without even knowing it. The most commonly stolen items include blankets and pillows, which are meant to stay on the plane, headphones, even those cheap ones, unless you've paid for it, are going to be airline property, life vests, which is a serious safety violation and can result in a fine, so please do not take the life vest from under your seat, safety cards, and sometimes the magazines that are in the backseat pocket, as well as cutlery and glassware from the meal service. So while it might seem harmless to stick a blanket or one of the airline's forks into your bag and take it with you off of the flight, technically, this would be considered theft. Theft I may or may not be guilty of. The flight is definitely not the only time that you are at a risk of theft when you travel, which is why you'll want to watch this video on the screen and linked in the description next, which runs through the highest risk areas of the airport for theft and how you can prevent having your belongings stolen. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join Ollie and I back here for more travel tips and hacks each week, and I will see you in that next video soon. Bye.